To call a discipline like architecture living is a rather precocious thing. How on earth would we make something which is artificial into something which we could associate with the world of nature and the world of life? What we do is we work in quite practical steps which are intensely bound in craft. We start with scaffolds and we make them resilient. We make them things that can be woven in to computation. Multiple meshes of microprocessors control and feedback with arrays of sensors and mechanisms, actuators, and all of those things together also work with liquid metabolisms as well, taking chemicals that can modify the environment and exchange. All of those technical systems then are woven together in a way that is deeply empathetic, that depends on human experience, and that fosters conversations back and forth. And so in the end, while the work is intensely technical, it also is founded on a kind of philosophy where we're seeking mutual relationships with the world, being among, being interdependent, even being unapologetically fragile, rather than trying to command and control and govern. We're working on a project which is trying to work with living systems, with the possibility of making artificial things that start to regenerate themselves and actually start to move and breathe and even think. The quality of the noosphere, of the thinking sphere, is something that we will see in many layers throughout this sculpture. There's intelligence of many small microprocessors which are arranged in meshworks, much like the neurology of our own brains, studied all the way through this sphere. Those processors are all speaking to each other, and together they pass signals back and forth and set up rippling and vibration and moving. Outside of the action that you can see is a whole other world of projected possibility, which the system is also thinking about and projecting. And so what you see is part of a much larger world moving back and forth, looking, surveying, tracking your gestures. It becomes possible also to teach the system. In fact, the system is curious. We can reward new information within the software. And what this means is that there's a constant evolution. If you came back a few days later or a couple of months later, the patterns and the responses would be different. And in fact, they will never repeat. One of the ways that we tend to work is to look rather closely at the tensile qualities of materials. The classical world has taught us a great deal about compression, about mass, about solid crystalline things. And yet, if we pull at things, if we look at how things are fluid, at how individual tendrils and filaments can stretch out, we see really extraordinary capacities. Very, very materially efficient, very, very sustainable, but they work in rather different ways. There's also the sheer process of sharing and developing this with multiple communities. Those bundling things perhaps speak about another very important dimension of what is living, which is that the process itself keeps on renewing itself. We're very deliberately developing this work as a test bed as well as a sculpture environment. And it's very difficult to say which one is more important. It's a test bed because it serves knowledge creation and research. At the same time, it's a work of poetry. Might it be possible to think of an alternate paradigm for a next century of design? Perhaps that might be rooted in a minimal definition of living things, a compartment, information, a metabolism. My hope, then, is that this work does create a sense in which a firmament is expanded by reaching and gathering in realms that lie far beyond our own bodies, far beyond individual domains, not in a sense of assertion or claim, but rather in resonance and reaction. And perhaps this offers some strategies to work with a public architecture of gathering, of sharing. Is it possible to speak in confidence about the trembling surface of the world today? It's hardly possible to speak in confidence. But I do hope that the sense of craft and of involvement of this kind of work might be a contribution. Thank you.